Gender and sexuality explanation. Why there are 2 genders and 3 sexualities in humans. Gender. Gender, male and female in the universe, is caused by oxygen of opposite polarities in simple organisms during their body mass replication in magnetic field. For example, doubled body mass, and when they replicated or split into 2, each took one polarity of oxygen from an O2 molecule with it, which caused male and female to form, leading to further evolution from there. Sexuality at conception to one-cell living zygote with full DNA strand. Sexuality in the universe is caused by oxygen bonding with itself in a magnetic field. O3 causes homosexuality. The third oxygen atom in O3 is not bonded strongly enough to cause a sexual attraction between homosexuals, and the other gender is not included in sexuality. 1 in 9 male and 1 in 9 female. O4 or more, O6 etc. causes bisexuality. 1 in 9 total are male and female. O2 causes heterosexuality in 3 subcategories, 1, 2, 3. 2 in 9 each, 1 in 9 male and 1 in 9 female, 6 in 9 total. Bisexual 1 in 9, homosexual 2 in 9, heterosexual 6 in 9. Each sexuality in humans has the same percentage of other humans that can be potentially sexually attractive at conception from the same sexuality group of the 3. 1 in 9 including any remainders. After recognizing which 1 in 9 can be sexually attractive, an individual must factor out people who aren't adult and or who are biologically related from that to find a suitable sexual partner. Only 50% of conceptions at any one time will be interested in being sexually penetrated with a penis or doing the penetrating with one when adult. 100% are go for oral in context. Only 50% of conceptions at any one time will be interested in being sexually penetrated in the vagina, like with a penis, or doing the penetrating of the vagina when adult. Ultimately at conception, one cell living zygote with full DNA strand. 1. Homosexual male, 1 in 9. 2. Homosexual female, 1 in 9. 3. Bisexual, 1 in 9. 4. Heterosexual male type A, 1 in 9. 5. Heterosexual female type A, 1 in 9. 6. Heterosexual male type B, 1 in 9. 7. Heterosexual female type B, 1 in 9. 8. Heterosexual male type C, 1 in 9. 9. Heterosexual female type C, 1 in 9. The percentage of people conceived one of the sexualities listed above is not going to get above 1 in 9 of the total living population from one cell zygote to oldest person alive in this star system. Living conceptions does not mean examples like frozen embryos. They do not count because they are not living. The spread. Natural genetic details that are not hereditary in the usual universal genetic spread are albino, short-statured, big-statured, somnambulist, left-handed, pattern bald, rare blood type, vegetarian, vegan, extra-organed, transgendered. Then there is the grouping genital parts. Big, small or double small individual genital parts, or neither big or small, which can be different for each genital part. Genital parts is a complicated grouping compared to the others. It keeps everyone interested. All are naturally caused in a set percentage of conceptions in this star system by para-hydrogen in the universe. Yay! A consequence of being in the finite universe in perpetual motion. They overlap within the spread numbers and percentages. Like when a person is one of the details from both the sperm chromosome and the ova chromosome. That is double that detail because 1 + 1 = 2. And when people are naturally more than one of the details at once. Each detail is always the same set percentage of chromosomes in living conceptions at any one time in this star system, allowing for minuscule remainders if applicable. Those genetic details are not hereditary. They are not directly passed on from a parent who is the same to the conception to match. Being multiple instances of the above at once, all of them at once, or none of them, is natural and normal and cannot be altered in the universal pattern. And of course, none of the above is natural and normal. My predecessor Kaiser Adolf Hitler the Hohenzollern was none of the above, by the way. Which is a natural part of the spread, too. Paragene spread details can also be in a conception in one chromosome only with none of the above in the other. As for the count of spread details including paragenes and none of the above. As with sexuality, each category is a set percentage of living conceptions in this star system. Each chromosome from the sperm or ova that caused the conception counts as one in the total numbers. The percentage of people with a chromosome that has one of the spread detail categories in it is not going to get above the set equal percentage of total chromosomes for each category. In the total living population from one cell zygote to oldest person alive in this star system. Living conceptions does not mean examples like frozen embryos. They do not count because they are not living. Countable means a living conception from one cell zygote to oldest person alive in the star system. B. Because the spread details are asterisk down to each countable gene in each chromosome making up the total set percentage. Asterisk and conceptions can be more than one gene category in one chromosome or both chromosomes. Asterisk and conception can be the same gene category in both chromosomes, counting as 2 from the one conception. The percentage of living conceptions, including people, of each category can morph and change over time in the population, but the percentage of each gene in conceptions counted by chromosome is always the same set percentage. For example, If every big-statured living conception was double big-statured in both chromosomes, and every short-statured living conception was only single short-statured in one chromosome only at any frozen instant in time, there would appear to be double the number of short-statured conceptions than big-statured, but the total number of chromosome genes of each would be the same set percentage of the total countable conceptions for each in this star system, and I count for both, 1 short, 2 big, 2 albino, 2 somnambulist. Plus my genitals, which I don't feel like going into detail about. So, the percentages and numbers morph around in the total number of living conceptions, and that can be exacerbated in living post-birth conceptions. Trying to manipulate the numbers and percentages intentionally with mass victimization, even genocide of one category to favor conceptions of a different one does not make the evil perpetrators appear to be God. Everyone has ancestors who are all of the categories above, separately and or all at once, including none of the above. People who are not one of those categories and do not have direct biological ancestors that were the same category for any number of generations back are not a superior race. People who are definitely not favored by God or more pure, either way regardless. Being none of them individually and being none of the above from one chromosome or both is not a curse, including by God or the devil, or being favored lucky, including by God of the devil. Complete lunatics sometimes pretend it is akin to being ethnically or genetically cleansed and more pure to not be one of the categories now, or for any direct ancestors to be the same category back a set number of generations. People who are not, for example, vegetarian now and had no ancestors who were back through their ancestral history 5 generations. Asterisk are not more genetically pure than others. Asterisk do not have authority over anyone who is genetically vegetarian now. Asterisk do not have authority over anyone who is in between now and back 5 generations. Those people are not minions to them that have to do as told and wait to see if they get lucky and end up in a family with no vegetarians through 6 generations later on. Same goes for sexuality. People descended from no homosexuals for a set number of generations back aren't a superior race either, for example. As these things, the spread of para-hydrogen genes, gender and sexuality, are not directly hereditary. Therefore they do not rack up over the generations, adding as they go. There is also no such thing as having too many ancestors of a particular spread para-hydrogen gene category, or too few, or none of the above. Genetic cultural background. Unlike the para-hydrogen gene spread details, like albino, for example, there is not a particular gene in a chromosome from the sperm or the ova in a conception that describes the dominant cultural nationality background of each individual. For example, Italian. Therefore being traced back to a particular nationality background via both parents, for example, Italian, does not come with an excuse for racist and discriminatory terms that lunatics pretend are akin to the term transgendered to describe a person who has a natural extra-organed para-hydrogen gene in both their chromosomes. Group sex. Heterosexuals do not really do sex in groups of more than 2. The presence of another heterosexual of the same gender, or another heterosexual of a different subcategory of heterosexual, puts the participants off the group sex thing. The fact that heterosexual do not really do sex in groups of more than 2 and heterosexuals make up 2/3 of all conceptions does not mean they have majority rule on sexual behavior laws or power of veto over what is considered natural behavior. They never have the right to impose unnatural genetically non-compatible sex or masturbation demands on homosexual and bisexuals for any reason, including we don't do group sex majority rule. The more insane can end up seeming to do nothing but illegally monitor homosexuals and bisexuals for evidence of group sex of 3 or more and pretend they are allowed to victimize anyone they think has participated. They can mind their own business. Those lunatics rarely openly argue for group sex of 3 or more being banned or made illegal though. Depleting or increasing the content of a form of O molecules in a place in the universe, like Earth, does not cause the percentage conceived and born that sexuality related to that form of O molecule to reduce or increase in the total population, as it does not make a big enough difference in the universe to change the percentages. This, of course, also applies to all species of animals, which is seemingly more complicated than us humans, but still there in the set percentages. People who try to force homosexuals to show sexual interest in someone of the other gender do not get to blame animals for it, as if they do it because animals that aren't homosexual don't understand the lack of interest in the other gender. People can sometimes lapse into telling compulsive lies, including as if prone to it due to human brain evolution being much faster than any other species on the planet, and starting from a higher base. You can't make a fool out of an animal that doesn't understand the complex concepts you lie about. It already understands the unwavering basics, like gender, 2, sexuality, 3, and genetic spread detail. They don't have the brain evolution to make up lies themselves. They compare gender and sexuality DNA as first priority. Attempting to have every human on Earth lie at once and say there is only 2 sexualities will not cause animals to start having sex out of context of their own sexualities. It will not cause 2 heterosexual male mice to start having sex as if homosexual.